I was born ready. Although I don't have any water, but fuck it. Let's go.
It's already live.
Okay.
All right. And we are live with our 33rd installment of Nansen Office Hours. Alex and I were just in a deep conversation, and I looked up at the clock. We're like, oh no, we're late. So here we are, a couple minutes late, but ready to dive into some dashboards, leak some alpha, see what's going on chain. If you are new here, if this is your first office hours that you're attending, basically this is just a conversation between Alex and I where we shoot the shit and try and find some cool stuff. And if you have any questions throughout the session, feel free to drop it in the chat on the right there. Hey, Adrian, nice to see you. And yeah, we'll hopefully get to these questions throughout the session. Alex, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty well. I'm pretty pumped about this session, actually. I think we have a lot of good content. Most of you will probably know that these office hours sessions are very improvised. So very often, Daniel and I will take 30 minutes before the call with the idea of us planning out what to talk about. And instead, we just talk about other things instead. And then suddenly we have to go live, and the whole thing is improvised. But the cool thing about our platform is that you can actually just discover stuff everywhere. So you can just go on a treasure hunt in every single stream. But this time we actually, reviewed the material. At least we spent a couple of minutes on that. And there's some pretty cool stuff. I don't know if we should just kind of give a bit of an agenda of the stuff we're going to cover, or if we want to keep it a surprise. What do you think? What's the best approach here, Alpha Curator?
Well, I think we can kind of give broad strokes here. So in the past month, 2 months, NFTs have been going crazy. Gaming, the intersection of gaming and NFTs has been going crazy. And it's definitely obvious on chain that there's a lot going on. It's kind of reminiscent of last year during DeFi summer, where you're seeing new pools pop up left, right, and center. A couple months ago, we never used to see NFT projects on hot contracts, but now we're seeing it more and more often. So anyways, I think a lot of the content will cover that, and we'll talk about some different opportunities that seem to be popping up in the NFT space. One disclaimer right at the beginning here is none of it is financial advice. We're not recommending that you ape into any of these. We may do it. We may even do it live sometimes, but it is not an endorsement. It's more like we're just experimenting and seeing what these projects are all about. Yeah. Without further ado, you want to screen share and we can dive in?
Yeah, let's do it. All right. You can see my screen now?
I sure can.
All right. Let's head to pro.nansen.ai. Boom. I think I want to start at NFT Paradise. So let's go to NFT Paradise. And there's one thing I want to show before we dive into some of the stuff that we see here. We had a little bit of a blast on social media because we have launched the profit leaderboard. It's funny because we blasted on social media, but some people were confused, like, where is the feature? And I understand that it's a bit confusing. Maybe it should have been its own dashboard, but you have to scroll down. And it's the third thing you see here. And this shows the top gainers in the NFT world, the ones who've made the most money buying and selling NFTs. So this is based on realized gains and total profits. And I would just recommend spending some time on this if you're into NFTs. Just like click through this and look at their wallets and try to figure out, like, hey, what are these people doing? Because there's a lot of alpha in just looking at their wallets and understanding what kind of projects they go into and like how they execute their trades. What price points they enter when they sell, all these different things. So definitely take some time to just click through this, and it's a long list, right? It's like the top 1,000 most profitable NFT investors. So yeah, I just wanted to show that. We're not going to spend too much time on this in this session. We spent a little bit of time on it last time, so you can check the last office hours, number 32, when we were testing this out in dev before we had launched it. But what we can do now is scroll up to the 24-hour NFT market overview, which shows the most traded NFT collections on Ethereum in the last 24 hours. And right away, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, before we get into that, because we will, I think, go down a deep rabbit hole. And before we dive down it, there's actually already a couple good questions in the chat here.
Okay.
So if you don't mind, let's touch
on
those. So the first question from Psychout is, why does Pranked have such a good rep in the space when he's a known dumper? I assume you mean Pranksy, so I'm going to answer accordingly. I think this is just my opinion, but I think what we're seeing right now in the NFT space is with all of these avatar drops, it's kind of like new farms being dropped last summer with with DeFi summer. And people have different approaches when going into a farm. Some people will do a farm and dump strategy where basically they're providing liquidity, they're receiving the tokens, and then they're dumping right away because there is a risk of the project dying out and you being left holding the bag. And so in the NFT avatar game, there's a lot of people who will enter a farm or enter sort of a drop and then try and offload as much as possible to recoup the basis. I think why Pranksy has a good, or at least a notable reputation, is that he is very skilled at doing this avatar kind of farm and dump type strategy. And frankly, I don't knock him for it. I mean, he is providing liquidity in the markets. He is helping, for Bored Ape Yacht Club, this is where the majority of his gains were from. He did help buy out that entire project and infuse it with excitement, help bootstrap that community. And so I think that's why he's notable. And different people in this space will have different strategies. Others will have more of like a moonbag type strategy where you buy it and you hold on and you say, I'm going to hold this for a few months or a few years and see where it goes then when NFTs are looked back on. And this period of time is looked back on as the golden era of NFT launches. And so everything will have value. So anyways, one thing we always say with a lot of our dashboards, whether it's like Wallet Profiler or even here, is each trader is its own case study. Like when you think about what is going on here with an entry like that, Pranksy or Nate Alex or any of these people in the top list, they are people sitting at home clicking buttons, and this is like their whole days are being spent doing this. And so you can get like a cursory overview of it just through our dashboard, just through these like tables and through these dashboards. But really, their days are spent doing these different things. And as you poke through their on-chain history, that's where you learn a lot. Each one of these is really a case study, and you can learn a lot. So Pranksy has his own strategy. Nate Alex has his own strategy. Sometimes you'll see DAOs in here, like Fingerprints DAO, for example. They have their own strategy. Quant Bike, they each play in their different space. Some play with avatars, some play with art blocks. Some start to do like more bot type trades, like on OpenSea. So sorry, that was a bit of a rant, but hopefully that answered your question.
It was excellent. That was really good. What's the next question? Let's move on to the next question. The
next question is, what are NFT indices? For example, if I don't have enough money to buy certain NFTs and I'm okay to buy an index.
Yeah. Do you want to answer that?
Sure. I think there's a couple answers to this. So if you don't have enough money to buy specific NFTs, or you don't want to take the risk of putting capital into a specific NFT, there's always the picks and shovels strategy, which is where you sort of invest in the infrastructure that is enabling NFT trading or NFT investing. So some of these, we've gone over this one before. NFT 20, the token is Muse on this one. There's also NFTX. You could also punt on some of these like NFT metaverse tokens like Mana from Decentraland, or you could do AXS, which I think actually we'll dig into in a little bit. So there are like just more liquid tokens that you can get exposure to. Excitingly, this Monday, Fractional launched, fractional.art. And Fractional is a platform that lets you fractionalize pieces of art or collections of art and let you sell it. So one of the big ones in here that I would pull up is, there's two, I would say, which were part of the launch. One is ABC123, which is an art blocks curated full set. Yeah, right there. And so we've talked about art blocks as well here. Art blocks has curated, factory, and playground. Curated ones are the most valuable ones. And so Andy and I think Dees have collected this full set of art blocks pieces. If you keep scrolling, I think you see which ones are inside the vault. Yeah, so you've got a Century, Dreams, Fidenza, Bubble Blobby, or whatever it's called. Yeah, all these different things. And they've broken down this collection, they've fractionalized it, and then they into 10,000 pieces, and then they're selling off those 10,000 pieces. The token, ABC123, is then put on Uniswap v3 with Ethereum. So they've made a market for it. That's what's under the hood here. Like when you click swap, you're actually trading on Uniswap v3. This is just their personal interface for it. And so if you wanted to get exposure to a full set, normally you would have to, spend like 150 ETH, and that's out of pocket, or like out of the question for most people. However, here you can get exposure to a full set, which is basically like betting on art blocks curated set going up in a much smaller way. So that would be kind of like an index play. Mm-hmm. This one is a collection of pieces that's been fractionalized. There's another one called Five Eyes. I think the ticker is FVEY, and it's a piece by X Copy. And a collector named Anonymous fractionalized that one. We'll see, but yeah, top right.
This one, yeah.
Yeah. So that's just an individual piece that they've fractionalized. The reserve price on this is pretty absurd, I've got to say. So, I mean, basically, like, there's the price that you can buy it at on Uniswap, and then there's like the buyout price. So if someone wanted to buy out this whole collection, they'd have to pay $1,200, which is hard to imagine them doing. However, the token could trade higher, depending on I'm not really sure exactly what the sort of underlying market conditions would be for the token price to move significantly. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question. If you have any follow-ups on that, let me know.
That's great. Cool. By the way, you can also buy just fractions of an individual NFT that's created on something like NFTX or NFT 20, right? So even if you're just buying floor price punks or something, if you want to bet on a specific collection, you can also just buy, say, one of those indices there, which effectively, if you have, say, 100 of the tokens that are created on NFT 20, you can redeem them for any one of the NFTs in that collection of your choosing. So basically, they should correspond to the floor price more or less in general.
Yeah, a case study for that one is a few weeks ago, there was discussion about crypto funks, which is kind of this, like, let's say, knockoff of CryptoPunks. They're just facing the other way. And I think there's like some of them have a frame or something like that. And on Twitter, there was quite a bit of discussion about them because they got delisted on OpenSea. And so some vocal NFT influencers who are all about freedom and liberties and are saying, like, Larva Labs shouldn't be taking down or putting requests to take down knockoff copies. Anyways, they were talking a lot about it on Twitter. And I was thinking, maybe there is a chance that they would pump up this collection just as like a statement, like basically like someone would buy up the floor. So because I didn't really want to buy a specific funk, like I didn't really care which one I got, I ended up just buying a funk token on NFT 20 here. And so basically, like, it's a call option essentially to buying one in the future if the value goes up. But I didn't have to really expend any mental energy on which one I wanted to pick. Exactly. Is this green hair one better than another one? Is this red hair one? Should they have a clown nose or a pipe? Like, sometimes that's too complicated. You just want sort of index-based exposure.
That's exactly how I think about it as well. That's one of the reasons why it's really useful. All right. Should we look at some data?
Let's.
Top of the list here is Stoner Cats. 5,511 ETH in volume, deployed 52 hours ago, 4,415 transactions in the last 24 hours. Let's have a look at this perhaps. So thankfully, our analysts have prepared some notes for us here, so we can give a bit of context on what this project is. This is the first NFT animated series, and it's backed by a strong celebrity cast, including Vitalik himself, Mila Kunis, Ashton Kutcher, etc. There were 10,420 cat NFTs that were fully sold out in 40 minutes. The minting price was 0.35 ETH, but the gas spiked to 600 to 800 Gwei for successful transactions. In fact, we should be able to see this, just a little bit of a digression, on the gas tracker when these were minted. So I guess it was here, perhaps, or here. Maybe there were two separate collections.
The earlier one. The second one is Vogu's.
Oh, what's the second one?
Vogu's. I think it's called the Vogu.io. It's basically these robots.
Got it. I think it's worth, by the way, like keep the gas tracker. I feel like has become higher alpha because it is so evident when NFT collections are being minted now. But yeah, so you can see very clearly that gas price spiked because there were a lot of people wanting to buy these. And then there are 3,000 additional NFTs that are going to be released in a second batch after the episodes are released. So I think there's a couple of things we can do here. We can look at, of course, NFT God mode for the collection. And you don't have a lot of history yet on the trading volume, but you see, for example, down here, some transactions. You see one that was sold for 30 ETH already. And generally, it seems like the price has been moving, yeah, pretty much sideways. But yeah, pretty much sideways. The floor has probably gone up a little bit, like 0.55. If I'm just like hovering over this, seems to be where it is now, whereas the minting was 0.35. But the interesting thing very often is to look at who actually bought this. And you see a lot of smart money wallets here right away. We just talked about Pranksy. He's the second biggest holder, which you can see when you scroll down here to the top balances. He's the second biggest holder with 500 stoner cats. And we also have Wifey Whale, a smart money wallet who was very early in minting, in mining Wifey.
And also biggest holder of Bored Apes or something now, or like one of the top 5 or something.
Oh yeah, he might be.
Or she.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, we have no idea. But they've done a lot of interesting things, building up, I think, a reputation and a presence on chain with this address, as many people do these days. You also have another smart LP down here, which is a top holder. So this is like certainly interesting. Like it has the kind of context around it with these famous people and so on, but the smart money is clearly aping into this as well. So that's interesting to look at. Yeah, here's a deep dive into the top NFT holder. We can have a look at this one, a rare NFT collector. They also have Vogue, which is the other one that you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Cyberviking.eth they have traded with. This one has negative profits, which probably indicates that they've just basically gone big and are holding a lot of these NFTs, I would imagine.
Or maybe they've transferred it out of their wallet to somewhere else. I think that's possible. That's an edge case that is throwing it off.
Could be as well. There's like more than 1,000 transactions here. It looks to me like he's selling Vogue. I mean, at least some of them. Maybe that's something we could look at afterwards. Also selling some of the stoner cats, it appears. Maybe the floor ones. But yeah, here is minting Vogue, right? You can see the whole history. So you can actually just kind of click through tons of minting, and you also see tons of minting of stoner cats, and some pretty much like, well, 2 hours later, selling of some of the floor ones, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, you can go crazy and like dive into all these different addresses, but we just wanted to make sure that that's a project that perhaps should be on your radar and you might want to investigate a bit more. Stoner Cats NFT.
Yeah. One thing I'll note here is, we saw on the gas tracker that the gas spiked like crazy. So although this person is flipping these Stoner Cats at floor price pretty quickly, the floor price isn't too absurd, considering they probably spent, they spent 0.35 on a Stoner Cat and then probably another 0.1 to 0.2 on gas. So you're only paying like, let's say they paid like 0.45 or 0.5 all in. You're not paying a huge premium if you're buying it at 0.6 or 0.55.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like market making, and it's almost like, again, like in DeFi, you have these market makers who are capturing this little spread between their buy price and then their sell price. Here, you got NFT market makers who are buying and flipping at like 10% premium, but they're just doing it in such volume that it makes it worth it.
Yeah. So that's NFT profile. There's a lot of other stuff you can look at. Maybe we can move on to some hot contract stuff. Let me just close these. So there was some stuff that we noticed. Like one thing was this whelps thing that we actually had no idea what was, but we had someone in our alpha group who just said whelps in the chat, and was this last night or?
Yeah. So someone was asking about strategies for DCAing out of NFTs, like dollar cost averaging out of NFTs, or just like general selling strategies. And then someone answered saying, "Whelps?" ? And I didn't even realize what the context was or like what they were talking about until seeing it here on the hot contract.
Yeah. So that's an interesting one. You could look at, if you just click through on this, you'll see, you can click through and see who put Ether into this one. You just scroll down and so that was maybe a bit too fast. I went to counterparties. I first just clicked through, and then I clicked counterparties because I'm wondering who put Ether into this contract. And I can go down to the top interacting wallets and sort by volume in, and I get a bunch of people. It just refreshed. I get a bunch of people who have put Ether into this. Looks like about 1,689 different addresses. So you could look at that as well. But there was another one that I noticed earlier. If I sort on inflow on the day, there's this one, Illuvium Flashpool. So if you click through on that, there's like 46 mil going into that. There's an Illuvium Flashpool. Okay, that's interesting. I think what we found here, because we have some notes from our guys, is that this was actually a flash pool for the Axie tokens, Axie Infinity shards, that was set up with for Illuvium. And so if I actually jump to top depositors, I'm just using the same address. Maybe you can see it up here. But I plugged in the token address for Axie. Now it gets a little bit more interesting. 650,000 Axie tokens deposited into Illuvium by our friends at Delphi Digital. Shout out to Anil and the guys. That's interesting. 10 hours ago, the Delphi chads are aping into this Illuvium flash pool with a pretty big chunk of Axie tokens. Impressive. The next one on the list has like almost just a tenth of them. So they're basically doing like 60% of this pool. So, okay, maybe to zoom out a little bit, like what's Illuvium, maybe even what's Axie Infinity. So Illuvium is an open world RPG adventure game built on the Ethereum blockchain. It's backed by significant investors, Delphi, hence the ape here, I presume, LD Capital, and Framework. It's launching on Immutable X in Q3 2021. And so they recently opened a flash pool to incentivize Axie users to join them. Very smart. And you can analyze the top depositors of this, in this dashboard. And clearly you see Delphi is like the big one here. One thing you could do as well is to look at the token overlap for Axie and Illuvium. So I'm just going to show you there. If I go to token overlap, here I could plug in AXS, the Axie token, and ILV, the Illuvium token, and you would see some stats on overlap. So it turns out that effectively 5% of the Illuvium token holders are also Axie token holders.
That seems lower than I would have expected.
Yeah, but you have to keep in mind that actually these numbers are typically very low, like below 1% in many cases. And you can see the overlapping holders. So you see like token A, token B, token A is Axie, token B is Illuvium. And so this one up here is like really big on Illuvium, but has no Axie, whereas these ones here have quite a bit of both. And there's this Esmira.eth. Well, that's actually a big holder of Axie tokens, but that has a tiny bit of Illuvium as well. It would actually be nicer if this was sorted, I think, kind of like as a combination. But in any case, you can look at that, which is kind of an interesting thing to explore.
Does this? So there we saw like less than 0.001 or whatever on 0.0001.
Yeah.
If there's a wallet that has 0, but
yeah.
it used to have some, would it still show in this intersect?
That's a very good question, actually. It should.
Because I think...
No, actually, no. Sorry. It won't. It won't. It will only show those that have had both at some point.
Okay. Because I think maybe that's why it's underrepresented here. There is Illuvium staking active on like universe.xyz. It's been there for a little while. So I can imagine not everyone has Illuvium in their wallets. And actually, I think there's also in, I can't remember what they're called, maybe like core pools or something like that. On Illuvium, they've got, I think this is worth checking out where the Illuvium tokens are, but they've got staking there at like 150% plus for ILV token.
This core. Yeah. There you go. By the way, for those who are not that familiar with Nansen, we just went to diligence token god mode, which is where you want to go whenever you want to look at a token. And we plugged in Illuvium, and I headed to notable wallets where I can see the top balance changes. So addresses that have been receiving Illuvium or sending it. And you're quite right, sir. We indeed see Universe Protocol, but it's actually had an outflow from it. And it's been probably some of it's been going into this staking pool, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I think it would be helpful real quick to just actually go to the Illuvium website, just so people have additional context on like what it means for this staking and like what the interface looks like.
Yeah.
And for the record, I'm not staking in any of this. I just saw it all on chain and checked it out.
Register. Is it Illuvium or
I am staking Illuvium on Universe.
Oh, you are?
But that was like from a while ago.
Cool. So you can see here, I've actually never used this either. But you can see, the staking, the Illuvium price, vesting. I think, isn't this project like the brother of Kind from Synthetics? Or they probably they got some help or some inspiration from how like the staking and the rewards and the vesting and all that stuff works with Synthetics, I would imagine.
I think in the Flash pools there is a Synthetics pool as well.
Nice. Makes sense. It's pretty cool though. I kind of like how you can see these like communities like meet, and it's quite smart to try to get over like Axie Infinity investors, right? Because they're also like game investors, metaverse and gaming investors. So it's pretty cool.
On the note of Delphi being the largest staker and having vast amounts of AXS, you have to give them credit for making an incredible call on that like a while ago. They were one of the first very vocal supporters of Axie. They helped design the token model. They've published research reports and helped people buy like mystic axes, and I think they even had like an internal like valuation or a sort of appraisal desk, from what I heard, to help people buy axes. So they definitely helped lead the charge on Axie becoming what it is.
Yeah.
So hats off to them.
100%. The pioneers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Full disclosure, I was in that same seed round. So I'm also grateful for the great work that Delphi Digital did in designing the AXS tokenomics.
I'm not. So, but yeah, hats off to you too. But speaking of speaking of these I guess gaming tokens and things around them, I think it's also worth popping back over to Hot Contracts real quick and checking out the YGG token sale, which was wild yesterday. For context, for context, I think it started at 10 a.m. EST, maybe, something around there, and it was a miso. It was meant to be like a fair launch. So they had set up a pool on miso on sushi, and it opened up, and then within you blinked, and all of a sudden it was out. And we'll hopefully poke into some of these transactions, but for a $12 million token sale at a fully diluted valuation of around $500 million for the total token supply, it's pretty wild that sold out so quickly. The valuation,
right? This one, that's the amount.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a project that hasn't even like really officially launched, and the token is valued at $500 million.
That's amazing. Okay, so bit of Nansen tips and tricks here. So what we did was we saw the token sale. I clicked through, and I see, hey, when I go to counterparties, I can see that there's not really any incoming ETH, but there's incoming tokens, USDC. And so it is actually more useful. Maybe we should, can I actually click that? No, I can't click that. Oh, I can click that, but that takes me to token god mode. It is useful here to go to the sort of equivalent wallet profiler for token. And if you go there, you can simply paste, you take the same address and you select USDC. And now we can do kind of the same type of analysis, but for that token specifically. And so this allows us to see the addresses that have sent USDC into this contract. And the breakdown is kind of interesting. So there's one that got 4.5 million. By the way, look at the time, right? It sold out like that minute, didn't it? Or like in one block.
2 blocks, right? I think.
Okay, 2 blocks. So the time is like 22. This is UTC. I think it's UTC, or if we, I actually don't know if we're now localizing the time zones, but normally
I think this might be localized because I think it was 10 a.m. EST for me, so it makes sense. It was 10 p.m. for you.
Makes sense. Yeah, cool. It looks to me like, yeah, it basically happened within a minute. So 2 blocks would happen within a minute. That makes sense. You could look at this transaction if you wanted to click through on Etherscan. Happened here. So 80, basically 7-1. And if you wanted to click on some of the other ones, not sure if, I mean, there's a good chance they're also in the same block. Oh no, 7-1 and 7-2. Yeah, so at least 2 different blocks. That's right. And that's the big one, right? And it would be pretty cool to understand, like, hey, what did this address do anything else, or was it just created to ape into this specific pool? We can see if it's done anything else with the USDC, and like maybe even where the USDC came from, because they don't have much of a history.
Yeah, this one is actually quite interesting to poke into. I think it was Darren Lau. I'm trying to find it right now. It might not have been him. Oh yeah. He had a thread going on this yesterday. I'll share it in the live chat here on the right. But basically, he kind of poked into these different groups and saw. Well, I don't want to spoil the surprise, but basically,
well, no, just tell us. Spoil it.
Saw that there were multiple contributors into these different addresses if you start poking through.
I mean, you see one here, right? Like 4.3 mil sent from a deployer address. That means it's deployed a smart contract at some point. Also from an ETH millionaire.
Yeah, so if we click through on that deployer, I think we'll find some interesting stuff.
Yeah, that's this one here. So let's see, it's loading. This one receives from 29 different addresses. And let's see where it sends its funds. 4.33 mil. It's a bit slow at loading. There we go. Boom. Huh. OpenSea. Wow. There's actually a lot of different contributors. So these guys pooled together their funds.
So maybe this is like a DAO or something, like a, or like, I mean, it does seem like there's a lot of Axie related names in here. So I'm trying to think of DAOs that are heavily exposed to Axie. Maybe it's like a guild, rather.
Could be. It very, very likely is a collection of different people, since they have different OpenSea profiles. Unless there's like one puppet master in the back, which kind of seems
that'd be crazy. Not out of the realm of possibility. But can we poke through on the pages there? I want to see if there's anyone that pops out.
Sure. So
wow, you see that Siddhartha.eth? We were just talking about that book the other day.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a good ENS name.
Yeah,
they don't own it anymore though. It looks
also like. Well, no, there's another one higher up, number 5.
Yeah, but it's the same. It's also, you have this asterisk which indicates it's no longer owned.
So maybe it is just the puppet master who's. It's all this Siddhartha guy.
Oh yeah.
But great book if anyone's looking for.
It's the author Herman Hesse.
Yeah.
Taping it. Okay, so that's pretty interesting. I think we can zoom out a bit from that and sort of pull ourselves out of the rabbit hole. But of course,
so there's speculation in the chat here that it's Blackpool.
Our friend Julien, or
that seems not unlikely.
Could be. Might be worth testing that hypothesis. You can very likely figure it out if you just poke enough through here. Might not take it that long either, to be honest. Okay, let's zoom out a bit. So that was a good one. Thanks for mentioning that. We do have one more NFT related project that was mentioned, which people are looking at, Aavegotchi. And I think maybe we can show this because it's quite cool to see how you can now jump between Ethereum and Polygon in Nansen. So let's start here. Plugged in the Ghost token in token god mode. And you can see the supply on exchanges, right? 39%, mostly on Binance, actually. Some on OKX, Gate.io, Crypto.com, and so on and so forth. Interesting inflow, though, of tokens to Binance. Maybe they're using, no, they're not using Binance to bridge, because Binance doesn't support Polygon withdrawals, as far as I know. But the cool thing you can do now, up here in the right corner, we didn't have this the last office hours. This is actually new. You can now click Polygon. And we released this to alpha customers, but this week we're releasing it to everyone. Maybe it's already been released. I'm not 100% sure, but everyone who has a Nansen account will have this available. And so now you see the same token, right? The Ghost token, but now on Polygon. And on Polygon, you see QuickSwap as the main exchange, but you also see DinoSwap, Cometh Swap, Balancer, and a few other ones. Now, if you go to notable wallets, the coverage here is a little bit slim still, right? We're building out support for this. We do have pretty good support for like QuickSwap pools. I mean, we should have 100% coverage on QuickSwap pools, but we're going to have coverage on other AMMs, and of course in general other wallets too. DinoSwap extinction pool. Okay.
Wait, sorry, quick question about this. Isn't there isn't the address on Ethereum the same as on Polygon in most of these cases? Couldn't we just join the Ethereum labels to these?
Great point. You can, and you certainly could with, we might want to take someone like, ENS names. Maybe we just want to use the same ENS names or labels. But there are some nuances, right? Do you want to keep a heavy DEX trader label, someone who was a heavy DEX trader on Ethereum, but they might not be on Polygon? Do you want to keep that same label, or do you want to have a specific Polygon label, right? There's some nuances there. They're not trivial. So you can't just like simply join and copy over all the labels, but typically entity-related labels you could copy over. So that's the approach we're taking, but this is still in the works, and we're kind of we've rolled this out now, but we're going to be improving this a lot. And the attribution team has built out their internal tooling so they can start tagging up Polygon addresses at scale, which is fun. But so just kind of be patient with us while we improve the coverage on this stuff. But you can also already get quite a bit of value out of this. Also, you might notice that you don't have the drill downs yet, so you can't click on the address and see wallet profile for tokens. And so here you can't click these, but that's also going to come, and that's of course going to make it even more useful. But at least, I feel like I'm no longer in the dark when I'm looking at Polygon now, because I can use, at the very least, I can use token god mode, and I can use things like hot contracts and wallet profiler. So stay tuned while we roll out the other dashboards.
I'm chuckling a bit here because in the chat, our friend Igor just popped up and he said, the word to summon me is Aavegotchi. Igor is highly knowledgeable about Aavegotchis, and you should, if you haven't seen it already, check out MetaGuild on Twitter. That's Igor's project for Aavegotchi and Axie and all these, basically going after this kind of, the one below. This kind of crypto gaming thesis.
This one.
Yeah.
Boom. Let's drive his followers to 100 at least.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not following, but that's because the Nansen account only follows Nansen employees. That's just how it is. That's the rule.
Yeah, we're checking out. He's very smart in crypto gaming, NFTs, etc.
Yes. Very good. So we've covered Aavegotchi, we covered Stoner Cat's NFT, we covered Illuvium, and even Yield Guild Games. What else do we want to cover? Do we have any questions in the chat, for example?
I think there are a couple of questions. Let's see.
Boom. I got to say, I like switching networks here. It's pretty fun.
There's a question here, which is, greetings. What do you think about Ghost and Must as next AXS? And we just covered Ghost. I have no idea what Must is, but now my interest is piqued.
How do you spell it? Like
MUST? Yeah.
Oh. Let's have a look. Very little tokens on exchanges. Interesting. Maybe there's no liquidity incentives, but someone also pulled a lot of tokens off of exchanges recently. Let's go to notable wallets.
Oh, Must is from Cometh, which we did see as, we saw the Cometh swap on Ghost token. And actually, there was that tweet yesterday from Stanley.
Oh, yeah.
Which is Aavegotchi. So someone, DeFi Prime, said, where's the next Axie? And Stanley replies, Aavegotchi and Must Cometh. And yeah, I don't know. I don't have any answer for you, but Stanley we'll offload that shill onto Stanley. I have no exposure to Must.
I want to see if we have this on Polygon as well. This one, when it's loading, that indicates, there's no cached version here. So it needs to actually run these queries for the very first time. So probably no one has ever looked at this before. Cool. Yeah, there's actually a bunch of liquidity pools here on Polygon. So maybe Maybe that's where the tokens are sitting. Huh. Yeah, a lot of these Cometh swap, but that's because it's Cometh swap, right? So it's their own AMM, presumably, or their own DEX.
Yeah.
We have no idea. But it seems like there's a bunch of liquidity pools. I guess. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Julien. He's like his social token, his personal token is like the 5th biggest holder.
Yeah. If you go to the Blackpool website, blackpool.finance, and you check out their metrics, yeah, you'll see Cometh there. I think they are. I think Julien and the Blackpool guys are pretty actively involved with that. And also, for anyone who stays up to date on the latest and greatest in NFT tech, those guys are also working on something called Genie.xyz. Worth checking out. I don't think it's really active yet. I don't think it's active yet, but they're building some cool stuff for like swapping NFTs in a more automated way.
Very cool. I had not seen this before. 8 mil total AUM in the Blackpool treasury.
Yeah. There's
it's pretty cool. Axis under management. That's quite good. I like that.
There's also a good chat from ETHCC that they did last week called the financialization of NFTs or something to that effect. I don't remember exactly, but it was hosted by Bunchy Protocol. These are all like, super niche NFT things, but if given that the NFT market is on fire lately, I think it's worth staying up to date on it.
Yeah. Now I'm curious on this Must thing, I gotta say. Any other questions in the chat?
Yeah, just looking right now. There's another one, which is, when will BSC be launched?
BSC will be launched in August. That's the plan. We have a lot of the infrastructure built, like a lot of the data and all that stuff. And now that we've done Polygon, it's going to be a little bit smoother to ship BSC. But frankly, BSC has been pretty challenging because there's a lot of data and the node support has not been as good as for other blockchains. So we've struggled quite a bit and used like different node providers and so on and so forth. Had to actually at one point spun up our own node and started hacking and like the default settings and things like that to get it to work. But we have the data, so now it's just about like the integration into the product. So it will be shipped in August, but I don't have an exact date.
Any insights on this Must token?
I'm curious on the pull here, like they pulled the liquidity out. What was that all about? Like this thing seems very notable.
Well, it might have just been people buying Must token, like aping in.
Yeah, but it didn't pump that much, right? Like, or? Can we see that here? Let's see. If I do like 7 days, right? Okay, no, fair. Yeah, that's probably what happened. Damn, didn't know we had DEX trades for Polygon as well. Sweet. Look at that, pumping. Yeah, that's probably what happened. Someone just bought a lot of Must off of the exchanges.
I actually think these volume stats are pretty useful here.
They are, right? I've been saying this for a while now. Like, the problem with things like CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko is that they have these centralized exchanges where there's so much wash trading, right? And maybe this is actually not the best example because this one is probably not even on centralized exchanges. But very often, looking at the DEX volume is a much more clear indicator of organic trading because there's very little wash trading on DEXs.
All right. Any questions in the chat about anything? Anything and everything? I think we got through most of the questions so far.
Man, what the hell is this? You people.
What is Elk Finance?
I don't know. I mean, actually, should we check out hot contracts for Polygon? Yield Enhancement Labs, Yell token sale, 23,000.
It's going on right now.
Is it? Have you heard about this before?
No, I'm just seeing 23K in the last hour, and only 44 in the last day.
Yeah. Yell token sale. Well, let's have a look. Matic. Okay. Someone's aping real time.
You asking me? Yell.finance. Yell. Current price 2 cents. Sale ends in 3 hours and 5 minutes. Community expectations of Yell price in August. 80 cents. What a like bullshit thing to put on your website. That does not sit right at all.
That's very that's off. Sales in 3 hours. So we're not saying don't ape, we're just saying that we are telling you to ape.
I'm not aping. That turns me off big time. Yeah.
Yeah. Who is aping though? Like, this is where we need a bit more coverage on the labels, right? In Polygon, but you can at least see the different addresses. There's 378. Basically none of them labeled. The top one is this. And they're aping Matic tokens in 32,000 Matic. That's not very much though, is it?
No, I think what's Matic, let's just say it's trading at $1. So
yeah, it's really. Like 32K, like the biggest one. Yeah, I don't know. Don't get a good feeling from this, to be honest.
Oh, it's actually at $1 exactly right now.
Okay, so the other one we spotted there in hot contracts after looking at yield enhancement labs was Astro Farms. So the cool thing about these dashboards is like I'm admittedly not as plugged in right now as I was like a year ago. But like this is just a pretty cool way to discover these things. You just see what people are doing on chain.
This does kind of feel like the early days of Nansen, where you see these like little, pockets of activity, and it's not like right now on Ethereum. There's so much going on, which is fantastic. Yeah. I mean, it's an evolving network, but in something a bit more nascent, like Polygon, you do see these little things pop up a bit more clearly.
Yes, totally. So incoming tokens. This was like we looked at this Astro Farms Neptune MasterChef. So do you know what that is? Astro Farms. It looks like.
No idea.
We should. By the way, we're working on improving our entities as well, so that eventually you will have just a website here, right? Often now we have to Google it, and you have the risk of like going to the wrong website, etc. Cancer to harvest, cancer stat, Leo stats, TVL 47,000. Is this like the real thing? That sounds like very little. 500. Okay, no, maybe it's right actually. No, 47,557,000. That was deposited. Astro Vaults. Why would you call your token Cancer?
I think like the astrological sign.
Yeah, I get that, but like out of context, that's not what you think. If you just say it on market cap, it's like I'm long Cancer. I mean, but this looks like a fork of what's that called again? Polywhale or whatever. Had like the same UI.
I didn't participate.
Okay. Or
Probably, yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like maybe I should take this down or not show it, because I don't want people to ape into stuff that is very clearly like scammy.
Not well. I don't know if that one was clearly scamming, but like, whatever. Maybe. I mean, I don't want to.
At least like you can immediately from the on-chain data see like what are people doing. Well, they're basically putting WBTC, USDC, USDT, Dyn, Quick, and Link into this contract, probably to do some farming. And so that's presumably what they're doing. It's the master chef contract.
So a final question here in the chat that I think we can touch on. I don't think we have a perfect answer to this, but we have some tools that are decent for it. The question is, can you check what addresses were buying Ether on the 26th of July at midnight for 3 hours? We can do it on a day, but I'm not sure we do hourly granularity. So let's see what we can do.
Actually, we should have this token movements dashboard for Ether. Just to give you an idea what this is, like I'll just grab this. Should also have tokens in it, but let's do something like this. We want to plug in USDC, and we want to do maybe yesterday to the day after, and this will show you like the largest transactions in that period, and the balance changes in that period, and you could plug in whatever you want here. So it doesn't exactly answer your question because you wanted to do this with Ether, and we should have this for Ether as well, but currently it's just for ERC20s. But this is actually quite useful when you're doing investigations. So, but maybe to go more directly to Ether. By the way, here's like the top changes on those 2 days. Well, there was like almost 200 mil going into Binance, and there was 167,000 mil going out of Genesis Trading OTC desk. And large transactions, well, there was like 105 mil USDC going to 3 Hours Capital wallet. And here you see that large, okay. Genesis Trading going to a wallet, and the wallet goes to 3 Arrows. Okay, interesting. So you just see that right away. So this is, and then down here you see also 3 Arrows sending some funds to 3 Arrows FTX deposit. But in any case, like this dashboard is actually probably underutilized, I would say, because it's really good for investigations. But to comment on Ether itself, you can go to ETH Tracker. And it's not as granular, perhaps, as it should be. But sometimes you can at least see the top transactions in the last 7 days, which can be quite useful. You can also look at the top volume addresses, which can also be insightful. And then, yeah, top balance is always interesting, but it doesn't quite address the point that you were trying to figure out here. And so what was the time frame that they were interested in? Was it like, what was it, midnight yesterday or something? Or which time zone?
Midnight. Yeah, we don't have the time zone.
Yeah, but just to give an idea, like you can kind of use this yourself. You can scroll like this, and you can find like 19 hours ago or 20 hours ago. These are at least large Ether transactions taking place. And perhaps just eyeballing this, you would find something like, there's Genesis Trading stuff. There's Cumberland sending to Coinbase 2,000 Ether. That was about 24 hours ago. And so on and so forth. So this could be a place to start. It's a little bit manual now, but I would think that what we should do is add a bit more of granularity, like we've done with Stablecoin Master, where you can see on notable wallets, we have this kind of nice, let's see, Stablecoin Flow, where it shows which two pairs have had the most volume between them. Something like this for Ether could be quite nice. And then you could also, for example, imagine table for the top depositors of Ether into exchanges, right? That would be quite useful. So maybe that would be the one that you'd want to use in that specific scenario. And it's something we should add. It would be pretty easy for us to add, actually.
Can you go back to token movements real quick? It would be great if we had a timestamp on here so that if you download it, so one thing that's also kind of underutilized, well, that's just hours ago, right?
Yeah, we should have like hover over, or like on Etherscan. This is quite nicely solved because you can just go here and you can click on age. Boom, you just toggle. So if our product team is watching this, we should do the same thing as Etherscan here. We should just have that be a toggle.
Yeah, hats off to them for a good.
We love Etherscan. We use it every day, like everyone else in the Ethereum ecosystem.
That is true. Yeah. So an underutilized feature is also data downloads, and that's available on the VIP tier. But basically, like if you wanted to filter down to a specific like a specific time frame when we add in timestamps here, you could do that, and you could play around with that and kind of collect a list of wallets that were buying it, for example, or like you could figure out what the transactions are, and then you could then set. Right now we're looking at USDC, but maybe you're more interested in like Axie tokens before a big announcement, or Must, for example. Like, you know, one of the questions earlier was, what do we think of Must? Well, it seems like there was quite a bit of buying a few days ago, maybe even before Stanny's tweet. So if you want to figure out like who are the smart investors who are buying Must before Stanny even tweeted about it, you could check that time frame, scrape the list of smart investors, toss on a smart alert for all of them, and you can assume like this is a category of investors who have got their finger on the pulse for this kind of like crypto gaming NFT action that's going on.
100%. That's a great tip.
And I think that is a good place to wrap things up here. We're about 5 minutes over time. Anything else to add, Alex? Your chair is looking nice. I'm just noticing that.
Thank you. I got a new chair. Shout out to Ingrid in our team who recommended it, and also to Irene, whose referral link I used to buy this.
There you go. Cool. If anyone has any other questions throughout the week, feel free to ping us on Twitter or join our Discord. We are required by Ingrid to say, smash the like button, subscribe, share with your friends. Actually, you know, I think something that would be helpful is if you did find value in this, we post a little recap snippets on Twitter. It'd be really nice if you shared that or retweeted it. You know, hopefully we can provide more value to people with these sessions across Twitter and across the cryptoverse. So thank you for joining, and we will catch you on next week's edition of Nansen Office Hours. See you later, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.